Tonight, we saw she was given a special security escort to Court 6 last night. There were thousands of Filipinos who tried to get a glimpse of the star on Court 6. Hundreds didn't manage to get in. They were, in fact, quite rowdy at times, told to be.
The Australian president himself recently extended an invitation to the Filipino tennis star Alex Eala to return to Australia for Melbourne's special exhibition match. Furthermore, this isn't just another tennis tournament, believe me. This is a declaration. An enormous declaration of esteem, popularity, and popular strength. Let's get started from the very beginning. Something remarkable occurred when Alex Eala visited Australia for the Australian Open. Thousands and thousands of Filipino tennis enthusiasts came to see their idol. The sights were amazing. There were Filipinos everywhere, singing her name and waving flags, generating an atmosphere Melbourne had seldom seen before. Here's the issue, however. Not everybody was able to enter. Thousands of loyal Eala fans were forced to wait outside the stadium due to its full capacity, missing their chance to see their favorite player play. Let's fast forward to the present day. The Australian president made the decision to do something unique after learning about the events during the Australian Open and seeing how well-liked Alex Eala was. Before her next competition, he personally encouraged Eala to return to Australia for an exhibition match. The WTA did not make this decision. This decision was not made by the event organizers. In order to give the people what they desired, the opportunity to witness Alex Eala perform live, the Australian president intervened directly. Around 58,000 was the last time the record for the first Tuesday was beaten, which was in 2020. At over 61,000 today, that has already been broken. As you can see, the Australian Open is off to yet another strong start. And history was replayed once again. In an attempt to see their tennis star, thousands of ELA supporters marched through Melbourne streets. It was electric energy. There was an obvious sense of exhilaration. However, the stadium was once again crowded, forcing thousands of supporters to stay outside despite the best attempts to accommodate everyone. There is just such a huge desire to see Alex Eala perform. Eala was transported to the stadium under government protection for security concerns. With such sizable numbers, the Australian authorities weren't taking any risks. She also completely dominated the court when she entered there. The audience erupted. The atmosphere was amazing. And Alex Eala gave just what everyone had come to see. Amazing tennis skills and that contagious grin that has won people over all over the globe. This is where things start to become fascinating and, to be honest, a little contentious. According to reports, Aryna Sabalenka, the WTA's top-ranked player right now, is not pleased with this circumstance. Here, the Australian president gives Alex Eala presidential honors and government protection by setting up a special exhibition match for her. But Sabalenka, the world's top-ranked player, hasn't gotten the same treatment. Let's be clear about one point now. Aryna Sabalenka is a fantastic tennis player. Through perseverance, commitment, and exceptional on-court achievements, she has achieved her top ranking. She is deserving of praise and acknowledgement for her accomplishments. However, Alex Eala is experiencing a distinct situation. Rankings aren't everything. Connection is key. It's about the ardor and affection that supporters feel for a player who embodies their aspirations. Alex Eala may not yet be in the top 10. Her current ranking of 40th on the WTA table is actually 9 positions higher than her position during the Australian Open. Rankings, however, don't provide all the information. Alex Eala's extraordinary relationship with her fans, especially the Filipino population, which is enormous and very devoted to their national tennis star, is what sets her apart. She has a great deal of international fame. She has defeated players like Madison Keys and Egish Fientek and has had some amazing victories against them. She is the genuine stuff, then. Already in the top 50 worldwide. And Alex Eala is managing everything with dignity and modesty. She has only expressed her thankfulness for the affection she receives wherever she travels. She is aware that this goes beyond her own achievement. She is carrying the aspirations of millions of Filipinos worldwide who perceive something unique and deserving of celebration in her. Let's now discuss the actual cause of this presidential intervention. One of the all-time greats in tennis, Novak Djokovic, openly criticized the WTA for their poor handling of Alex Eala at the Australian Open. Despite Ella's immense popularity and the thousands of fans who came expressly to see her play, Djokovic believes the WTA made a grave error by assigning her to play on little courts. Alex Eala is the best tennis player the Philippines has ever produced, and she deserves all the respect in the world, Djokovic said. However, Novak claims that she is not receiving that respect from the WTA. She is not being treated fairly by them. Djokovic even went so far as to imply that her first-round loss at the Australian Open may have been caused in part by her poor management. That kind of thing happens. I mean, you could say that they could have scheduled them on a larger court because it was, a bad scheduling. Indeed. However, once again, she is Alexa, and I acknowledge that there has been a conversation about it, which makes sense. There are some players who travel from their home countries. For example, she is from the Philippines, which is now very well known because she is the biggest tennis player from that nation. Djokovic is arguing that the environment in which a player competes is hugely important. The court's dimensions, the ambience, the crowd's enthusiasm, the lighting, and the surface conditions. A player's performance is influenced by all of these elements, particularly during high-stress events like Grand Slam tournaments. You are not giving a player who attracts thousands of fans the best chance of succeeding when you place her on a little court where the majority of her supporters cannot even enter to cheer her on. And it's obvious that Djokovic's critique struck a chord. People started talking about it. People began to wonder why the WTA would treat one of its most well-liked players in this manner. Apparently, the Australian president was also drawn to it. The Australian president made the decision to take things into his own hands after seeing the unhappiness of Ella's supporters during the Australian Open, when thousands of disappointed people had come from all around to watch their hero play. He made sure Ella got the stage to perform for her supporters as she deserves, brought her back to Australia, and set up this unique exhibition match. Here's the really amazing part, however. The stadium was unable to hold all of Ella's supporters, despite a carefully planned celebration and presidential support. There were still many out there. This demonstrates the rapid rise of Alex Eala's popularity. We're discussing a special kind of tennis fan loyalty that goes beyond rankings and tournament outcomes. Players become worldwide celebrities when they achieve this level of fame. A person becomes more than simply an athlete when they have this type of relationship. On the international scene, Alex Eala is emerging as a symbol and a representation of Filipino greatness and pride. Furthermore, WTA rankings by themselves are not a reliable indicator of such. Eala has been putting in a lot of effort since the Australian Open, honing her craft and moving up the rankings. It's a big improvement to get from outside the top 50 to 41st. Additionally, it demonstrates that she is not just well-liked, but is becoming into a really formidable WTA circuit rival. The disparity between the WTA's perspective on player management music and what the fans really want, however, is what this whole scenario really brings to light. From the perspective of competition, the WTA's ranking and seeding system makes logic. However, there may need to be some leeway in how these athletes are handled when they are a crowd-drawing athlete like Alex Eala, who can pack stadiums and generate the type of enthusiasm that boosts the sport as a whole. The president of Australia is well aware of this. He saw a chance to honor a player who has earned it by her relationship with fans, to commemorate a budding star, and to bring joy to thousands of people. From her point of view, it seems sense that Aryna Sabalenka could not be pleased about it, but it also misses the mark. This isn't meant to diminish Sabalenka's accomplishments. This has to do with understanding that tennis is fundamentally a spectator sport. And it's worth listening to when the crowd shout this loudly. The adventure of Alex Eala is just getting started. The future seems tremendously bright as she climbs to the 40th spot in the world and receives the type of fan support that most athletes can only hope for, with tennis greats like Novak Djokovic fighting for her equitable treatment. There is more to the Australian president's choice to welcome her back to Melbourne than simply a kind gesture. It's an acknowledgement that something unique is taking place here and that Alex Eala merits celebration for more than simply her current position. It's for what she stands for and what she is growing into. Popularity, connections, and cultural relevance are just as important in this new era of tennis as rankings. And with each game she participates in, Alex Eala is authoring that chapter.